हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। I'm okay.
Yesterday I lost my pavitra. Anyone has seen pavitra?
Okay.
Nishinga Kavacham. So I lost it. If anyone has seen Hare Krishna. Maybe here or
In classroom we have yesterday.
maybe yes.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvashe Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhaktan. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, so we have a new student here. Would you like to introduce yourself to them?
I can't do my name is Dev Kishan. I'm sorry guys, I came slightly a bit late.
I really think had a sort of a last minute decision to want to do the Vaibhav course. And I just...
From which place?
From London. And I just had no choice but to come, so I just packed everything and made myself here.
Good.
What's your name?
There's Bhushan. So I used to serve in Watford under a tripod in the gift shop. So we used to process like online orders and
So now what's your service there?
Vaibhav
Hmm?
all the time. As in at the moment, my service is the Vaibhav.
Reading only.
Sorry, reading. Yeah, reading, studying.
They makes noise.
Okay, let's begin with the third verse. So all of you know about the class timing today? Hmm. The message has been sent to everyone?
Is it?
I'm not getting Wi-Fi.
I also there didn't get it.
Okay, so today there is class till 12:30 because we have the solar eclipse today. So Prasadam would be by 1. And then we have an extra class on Thursday from 3 to 5.
Huh? 3 to 5.
I think that was supposed to be posted just 5 minutes back.
Today meeting 12:30. Prabhu, 12:30.
Yeah.
1 hour only, but it's at 2 o'clock, is it?
Yeah, but then they have to finish Prasadam and wind up before.
Oh, no problem.
So 30%
Thursday, what time you said, Ruchi?
3 to 5.
3 to 5.
Okay. The first one Wi-Fi is 310 9 165.
Okay, text 3. Let's recite. Nigamakалпатароргалитам phalam shukamukadamritadravyasamyutam pibata bhagavatam rasamalayam muhuraho rasika bhuvi bhavukaha. O expert and thoughtful men, relish Srimad Bhagavatam, the mature fruit of the desire tree of Vedic literatures. It emanated from the lips of Sri Shukdev Goswami. Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful, although its nectarian juice was already relishable for all, including liberated souls. So this third verse is alluring everyone to taste the nectar of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. So the first thing that is being said over here is Nigama Kalpataror Galitam Phalam. So the Vedic literatures, Nigama refers to the Vedic literatures. The Vedic literatures are compared to Kalpataro.
Tree.
Yes, like Kalpa Vriksha, the desired fulfilling tree. So why are the Vedic literatures compared to a Kalpataro?
They fulfill all your desires. If you have material, the Vedic literatures are for material people also. And for those who are looking for the ultimate, it is for them also.
Right. So as we were discussing, the Vedas have all these various sections, Karma Kand, Gyan Kand, Upasana Kand. So basically, whatever desires one has can be fulfilled through the Vedic literature. So the Vedas are also compared to a mother, and just like the mother fulfills the desires of the child, so similarly the Vedas fulfill all the desires of all the living entities who are like children. Right. And all types of knowledge is available in the Vedas, in the Ishopanishad lecture that is there as the introduction to the Ishopanishad. Srila Prabhupada says Veda means knowledge. So it contains all types of knowledge, material knowledge, spiritual knowledge, everything is there. So therefore, the Vedas have been compared to Kalpataro. And the Galitam Phalam, the fully mature fruit of this desire tree of the Vedas is the Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, please read the first two paragraphs of the purport.
In the previous two slokas, it has been definitely proved that Srimad Bhagavatam is the sublime literature which surpasses all other Vedic scriptures due to its transcendental qualities. It is transcendental to all mundane activities and mundane knowledge. In this sloka, it is stated that Srimad Bhagavatam is not only a superior literature but is the ripened fruit of all Vedic literatures. In other words, it is the cream of all Vedic knowledge. Considering all this, patient and submissive hearing is definitely essential. With great respect and attention, one should receive the message and lessons imparted by Srimad Bhagavatam. The Vedas are compared to the desire tree because they contain all things knowable by man. They deal with mundane necessities as well as spiritual realization. The Vedas contain regulated principles of knowledge covering social, political, religious, economic, military, medicinal, chemical, physical and metaphysical subject matter, and all that may be necessary to keep the body and soul together. Above and beyond all this are specific directions for spiritual realization. Regulated knowledge involves a gradual raising of the living entity to the spiritual platform, and the highest spiritual realization is knowledge that the personality of Godhead is the reservoir of all spiritual tastes or rasas.
Okay, so the Srimad Bhagavatam is the cream or the fruits of all the Vedic literatures. Here Prabhupada is again repeating what has been said in the previous verse, Shushrushubi. How one must receive this knowledge. So he says, with great, considering all this, patient and submissive hearing is definitely essential. We discussed this point yesterday. With great respect and attention, one should receive this message and lessons imparted by the Srimad Bhagavatam. And then he's talking about the various rasas, 12 rasas. We know 5 primary, 7 secondary. And the sum total of all these rasas is called affection or love. Okay, so that's the ultimate goal of all the rasas, is to exchange love. The rasas were originally exchanged between the spiritual living being and the spiritual whole, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The spiritual exchange or rasa is fully exhibited in spiritual existence between living beings and the Supreme Lord. So in the Nectar of Devotion, Srila Prabhupada has defined rasa. Somebody remembers?
Juice, mellows.
Okay, that's a literal translation of the word. Of course, Srila Prabhupada says there is no exact equivalent word to the word rasa in English, but something what comes close is mellow. But what's the definition? Anyway, may not be very precise, but what's the approximate definition? Yes?
You could say like type of relationship.
A type of relationship, that's correct. That's correct. A type of relationship for what?
Loving reciprocation.
Okay, loving reciprocation. So Srila Prabhupada writes that the impetus by which a person performs a particular type of work is basically what is called as a rasa, which is a relationship. So it is basically the impetus which drives a person to perform a certain activity. And there he gives examples that just like the family man, he has some affection for his family members. So that affection, that relationship is what drives him to perform the work. Or there is a philanthropist, he has some affection for the society, the country. And that's what, that relationship with his countrymen is what drives him to perform that activity. So basically it's the impetus, the inspiration which drives a person to perform a particular activity. That's basically what's rasa. And basically it means a relationship. And that relationship was originally present between the living entity and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the spiritual exchange or rasa is fully exhibited in spiritual existence between living beings and the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is therefore described in the Shruti mantras, Vedic hymns, as the fountainhead of all rasas. So this is also the first mantra, the first verse of the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, which is describing the objective of the book, Vastu Nirdesh. So there he defines. So the objective of the book is understanding Krishna, who is, what is the Sanskrit word for this fountainhead of all rasas that Rupa Goswami gives? Okay, Rasovaisa, that is a Vedic aphorism. What's the term Rupa Goswami gives? Akhila Rasamrita Murti. Akhila Rasamrita Murti. The translation of that is this, the fountainhead of all rasas. So, and in that connection, there is the verse or the example or the pastime that is quoted in relation to show that how Krishna is the fountainhead of all rasas, how he exchanges rasas with all living entities simultaneously, which is the well-known pastime.
When it comes to the arena.
Yes. When Krishna and Balaram enter the wrestling arena, then we see that all the different people gathered over there, they relate with Krishna in different ways simultaneously. So that's what shows that how he is the fountainhead of all rasas. And when one associates with the Supreme Lord and exchanges one's constitutional rasa with the Lord, then the living being is actually happy. Okay. Now, the next part of the verse is Nigama kalpataror galitam phalam shukamukad amrita drav samyutam. Now, okay, so we'll go to this description of Shukamukad, which Prabhupada gives, leaving one paragraph. I would just like to read one more paragraph here. The Shruti mantras indicate that every living being has its constitutional position, which is endowed with a particular type of rasa to be exchanged with the personality of Godhead. In the liberated condition, also this primary rasa is experienced in full. Okay, so the relationship is fully blossomed on the spiritual platform. But in the material existence, the rasa is experienced in the perverted form, which is temporary. So all these rasas are there in the material world also. All the rasas are there, but they're all perverted. They never really give full satisfaction to the soul. Okay, and thus the rasas of the material world are exhibited in the material form of Raudra, anger, and so on. Okay, now leave one paragraph and read the next in this shloka.
In this sloka, it is definitely stated that spiritual rasa, which is released even in the liberated state, can be experienced in the literature of the Srimad Bhagavatam due to its being the ripened fruit of all Vedic knowledge. By submissively hearing this transcendental literature, one can attain the full pleasure of his heart's desire. But one must be very careful to hear the message from the right source. Srimad Bhagavatam is exactly received from the right source. It was brought by Narad Muni from the spiritual world and given to his disciples Sri Vyasadeva. The latter in turn delivered the message to his sons Srila Sukdev Goswami, and Srila Sukdev Goswami delivered the message to Maharaj Parikshit. Just 7 days before the king's death, Srila Sukdev Goswami was a liberated soul from his very birth. He was liberated even in the womb of his mother, and he did not undergo any sort of spiritual training after his birth. At birth, no one is qualified neither in the mundane nor in the spiritual sense. But Sri Sukdev Goswami, due to his being a perfectly liberated soul, did not have to undergo an evolutionary process for spiritual realization. Yet, despite his being a completely liberated person, situated in the transcendental position above the three material modes, he was attracted to this transcendental rasa of the Supreme Personality Godhead, who is adored by liberated souls who sing Vedic hymns. The Supreme Lord's pastimes are more attractive to liberated souls than to mundane people. He is of necessity not impersonal because it is only possible to carry on transcendental rasa with her person.
Continue.
In the Srimad Bhagavatam, the transcendental pastime of the Lord are narrated, and the narration is systematically depicted by Srila Sukdev Goswami. Thus, the subject matter is appealing to all classes of persons, including those who seek liberation and those who seek to become one with the Supreme Whole.
Continue.
In the Sanskrit, the parrot is also known as suka. When a ripened fruit is cut by the red beak of such birds, its sweet flavor is enhanced. The Vedic fruit, which is mature and ripe in knowledge, is spoken through the lips of Srila Sukdev Goswami, who is compared to the parrot not for his ability to recite the Bhagavatam exactly as he heard it from his learned father, but for his ability to present the word in a manner that would appeal to all classes of men.
Okay, fine. So, Shuka Mukhad. So that's what Prabhupada is explaining here. What is the significance of Shuka Mukhad? So first of all, one has to accept the message in parampara. That's what Srila Prabhupada is explaining before that. And he's also explaining the greatness of Shukdev Goswami. He was a liberated soul right from his birth. He was on the had perfectly realized the impersonal Brahman. So first thing is, the message has to be received from parampara. That of course Srila Prabhupada also explains in the next paragraph, that how the ripened fruit is not dropped all of a sudden from the highest plant of Krishna Loka, rather it has come down carefully through the chain of disciplic succession without change or disturbance. Foolish people who are not in the transcendental disciplic succession commit great blunders by trying to understand the highest transcendental rasa known as the rasa dance without following the footsteps of Shukdev Goswami, who presents this fruit very carefully by stages of transcendental realization. Okay, so first of all, it's important that one receive the transcendental message in parampara. So why is it important to receive the message in parampara?
Oh, otherwise people will bring their own ideas into it.
Yes.
That has to come.
So much misinterpretation can be there if one does not receive the message in parampara. And therefore in the Bhagavad Gita also Krishna is talking about parampara. Which verse? Yes, evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo vidu sa kalaneha mahata yogo nashta parantapa. So he says that the message has been received in disciplic succession, but now with the passage of time, sa kalaneha yogo nashta parantapa, that parampara has been broken. So how does the parampara get broken? Is it that there's nobody to carry on the parampara? What is the meaning of parampara being broken?
The essence has been lost
Okay, good point. Yes, the essence has been lost. So why the essence gets lost?
by speculation.
Yes, by mental speculation, misinterpretations. That is how the original message gets lost and then some new message infiltrates. That is how so many apasampradayas come about. As we know, even after Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ended his pastimes in this world, then there were 13 apasampradayas who were all claiming to be followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but they never presented the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as it is. And then we know how Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he worked very hard to establish the real message, the real teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and drive out all these apasampradayas. So therefore, maintaining that message of the parampara as it is very important. And that is why we find Srila Prabhupada would again and again emphasize that one must present the message as it is, without any change, without interpretation, without addition, without subtraction. That's very important. So whose responsibility is it to maintain that purity of the parampara?
responsibility as Gurus and even ours also.
Ourselves.
Yes, it is our responsibility. It is not some leaders out there, only they should. No. Every one of us who is a member of the parampara needs to maintain the purity of the parampara, needs to maintain that message as it is. Otherwise, if we present the wrong message, so if I present wrong message to even one other person, and that one person may speak to another 10 people, and those 10 people will speak to another 100, and then after those 100 people start speaking, then what will happen? The original message is forgotten.
Chinese like Chinese whisper.
Yes. So then the wrong message goes on and everyone thinks that's the correct one. What's the original message will be forgotten. And this is what has happened to many religions over the world. As Srila Prabhupada would often give the example of the Bible, thou shalt not kill, but now they have changed it, thou shalt not murder, and things like that. So many scriptures have been changed and new things have come up because of such misinterpretations. So in that connection, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur told the story of Sargal Singh. You know the story of Sargal Singh?
The donkey.
So what happened?
So one person is crying, Sargal Singh died also. So other person thinks, oh, there's somebody important person, he died. So he also starts crying. Eventually it goes like that.
They all shave their head as
Yes,
mark of
yeah,
mourning.
yeah. And then the king also thinks somebody great is and he doesn't want to look as a fool also. So he also gets shaved, he starts crying and all. Then eventually there's some intelligent person in the kingdom who says, who is it? Then it comes the king says, I don't know. The other person says, I don't know. Then it comes to the donkey's master. He says, oh my, Sargal Singh was my donkey.
Right. So nobody asked who is Sargal Singh, but everybody is crying, Sargal Singh is dead, Sargal Singh is dead. Right. So like that, the message gets passed over and everyone accepts it without questioning. And the wrong message gets passed. So therefore the important point is that, as Srila Prabhupada is writing over here, the ripened fruit is not dropped all of a sudden from the highest plant of Krishna Loka. Rather it has come down carefully through the chain of disciplic succession without change or disturbance. So now, that's one important point regarding the Shukamukhad. The other important point Prabhupada says is that the Vedic fruit, which is mature and ripened knowledge, is spoken through the lips of Srila Shukadeva Goswami, who is compared to the parrot, not for his ability to recite the Bhagavatam exactly as he heard it from his learned father, but for his ability to present the work in a manner that would appeal to all classes of men. So that means he presented it in a way that is understandable. He presented with his realizations. It is those realizations of the speaker, of the Acharya, which makes the message relishable and appealing and applicable to all the classes of men. So just like we find Srila Prabhupada, that's what Srila Prabhupada did. So Srila Prabhupada took the same message of the previous Acharyas, but he presented in a way that would be understandable to the people of the current age. And so we find Srila Prabhupada in his purports, he includes so many contemporary examples and incidents and so many things Srila Prabhupada adds which we don't find in the previous Acharya's commentaries. Why? Just to make the message more understandable and relevant to the current day people. So that is what the speaker does, and that's what makes the message more relishable. And so it's not the example of Shukadeva Goswami or Shukadeva Goswami being compared to a parrot is not simply that he repeated the message. Yes, the message has been repeated definitely, but it has been made more relishable. So Srila Prabhupada also, he says, simply parrot-like repeating is not sufficient. So one should be able to explain the message in a way that is understandable. So Shukamukhad Amrita Drava Sanyutam. So because of the special realizations of Shukadeva Goswami, therefore the message has become like Amritam. It has become like nectar. And it is dravya. Drava means semi-solid. So just like we have something like mango pulp or mango shake. So it is semi-solid, right? And it's like nectar.